Hello everybody, my name is Stacia, and I'm just a girl on the internet that likes to talk about movies. This week's movie is going to be the 1984 movie Amadeus. This is one of my favorite Best Picture Oscar winners. This is of course, fictionalized account of the life of Wolfgang Mozart Amadeus. It's about his life, his successes, his troubles, and also the jealousy of genius. And that jealousy of genius is portrayed by the character of Antonio Salieri, played brilliantly by F. Murray Abraham in this movie, where he is also a composer of the time, and his jealousy and torment of witnessing the genius of Mozart, who always took the spotlight from him. And he is the narrator of the story, and he is going to tell you how he actually murdered Mozart. This movie is based on a stage play, a Broadway play, written by Peter Shaffer. He also wrote the screenplay for the film adaptation. And Amadeus is also directed by Milos Foreman, the director that gave us One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, The People vs. Larry Flint. He gave us the movie Valmont and Men on the Moon. He also gave us Ragtime and Hair, those two musicals. But I see, besides One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, Amadeus is really the pinnacle of Milos Forman's directing powers, in my opinion. Besides F. Murray Abraham playing the character of Antonio Salieri, we have Tom Hulce playing Wolfgang Mozart Amadeus. You have Elizabeth Berridge playing Constance Mozart, his long beleaguered wife. Roy Dotrice plays Leopold Mozart, Mozart's father. But everybody in the cast does so well in this movie. So I saw this movie when it first came out, and since the first time that I saw it, I have been obsessed with this movie. I watch it at least once a year, and it's just so well done. It's so entertaining, and for a movie about Mozart set in that time, it is so funny, the portrayals and everything. And yes, it does take lots of liberties. It's not like they're putting on Austrian accents. Tom Hulce is an American actor. He does not put on an accent. His laugh is hysterical in this. The choosing of the betrayal. And this is not an autobiography of Mozart. It is fictionalized. It is based on a stage play that is heavily fictionalized. When it was on Broadway, I think Mark Hamill played Mozart in that. It has some aspects in it that are true to life, but shouldn't be taken as a true to life biopic of Mozart. It is pure art, though. They did a really great job. It is informative and entertaining. The music is beautiful. If you watch this movie, if you've never seen Amadeus, watch it. I promise you'll love it. And I know what you're thinking. I'm not really into classical music. It is not so much about the classical music, although it has beautiful music from Mozart in it. It is definitely just, all in all, I think this movie is a masterpiece. The sound, the vision, the art direction, just let everything about this movie just sweep over you. And I think it's one of the best movies ever made. One of the best movies of the 80s, and one of the best Picture winners there ever was at the Oscars. And let's dive into the Oscar aspect of this. It was nominated for 11 Oscars and won 8 of those 11. Now, 11 nominations was the most nominations for the year, but it shared that distinction with the movie Passage to India, which also had 11 nominations. But of course, the most won that night was by Amadeus with the 8 wins. So the Oscars that it was nominated for, it was nominated for 2 Best Actor in the Lead Role awards. So F. Murray Abraham, that ends up winning the award, and Tom Hulce, Mozart himself, which both of them are toe-to-toe in this movie. I love that it went to F. Murray Abraham. He is brilliant in the movie. Would I have liked to see it go to Tom Hulce? Yes, I would have. I think he just edged up a little bit. But when you're talking about this type and talking about Oscar wins, it's apples and oranges, really. When you think about it, I mean, this year you also had Jeff Bridges in Starman, Albert Finney in Under the Volcano, and Sam Waterston in The Killing Fields. All very different performances, but if you had to go with one, my vote would have been for Tom Hulce. It was also nominated for Best Art Direction, which it also goes on to win. It was nominated for Cinematography. It did not win cinematography. The movie The Killing Fields wins cinematography, but it does win costume design. It was nominated for film editing. That went to The Killing Fields. It was also nominated for Best Makeup, a relatively new category, Best Makeup, and it wins Best Makeup. It also wins Best Sound and Best Writing Screenplay based on another medium, since it was based on the Broadway play. It does win Milos Foreman his 2nd directing Oscar. Of course, he wins in 1976 for One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, which is another one of his brilliant films. So this wins him his 2nd Oscar for Best Direction. Keep in mind, this is the Oscars where Prince wins an Oscar for Purple Rain, and Sally Field wins her Oscar for Places in the Heart and does her You Like Me, You Really Like Me, which she doesn't say that really. She says something close to that, but not really that. So this Oscars had a lot of highlights in it, and it is most remembered for those highlights rather than Amadeus winning. Sally Field's moment really upstaged a lot of things. The one famous moment of the Oscars that has to do with Amadeus is the Best Picture win was presented by Sir Laurence Olivier. And when he presented the award, he went up to the podium and just opened the envelope and said Amadeus. And the problem was he didn't read the nominees first. The Academy officials quickly went on stage to confirm the winner and signaled that all was well before Olivier then presented the award to the film. Very harken back to the whole Moonlight and La La Land scenario, but at least Laurence Olivier said the correct movie. This movie is filmed on location in and around Prague, Czechoslovakia, which is Milos Forman's home country, and when it was Czechoslovakia instead of the Czech Republic. One of the reasons for that is a lot of the Eastern Bloc countries, especially at that time, they weren't burdened with modern things like antennas or anything. They had all the classic buildings and everything, and none of the modern technology really to cover up were really obvious in frames. Amadeus' budget was $18 million, which is a lot for a movie then. It's moderate, and it was not a big budget financed by a big studio. It was Orion Pictures that made the movie, so its promotion budget wasn't that large. They had to find some creative ways to promote the movie, finding rock stars and everything and do promo videos with Mozart music and rock stars, stuff like that. But it did make $52 million at the box office, so was considered a huge hit, especially for a film that is about classical music. And not to mention, it is a film about classical music that is 2 hours and 40 minutes long. And it was that much of a hit during that time. And me as a little kid loved this movie. And going on the being filmed in Prague. All the locations are real in this movie, except 4 sets that had to be built for the movie. One of them was Salieri's hospital room, Mozart apartment. They built a staircase, and they built the vaudeville theater that appears in the movie. All other locations in this movie are real places in Prague. And you know, historical things in this movie is the opera Don Giovanni in the movie is filmed at the same place where it first appeared as an opera on stage. This is fascinating. Like, I grew up in Europe, and it's fascinating going around there and seeing, you know, these things that you have heard about in history that still are there and still exist. And you can stand in the places where these figures, these larger than life people actually stood there before you. And the ornateness of the architecture and everything, it is baffling, you know, to think about. When we would go on field trips in school, we'd go to all these historic places, and you would learn about all these people and all the history of it. And it was just so grand. And being able to shoot it in Europe, even though it's not Vienna and it's Prague, Mozart was still in some of these places. He performed all over. It lends to the credence of the movie because, like I said, it's a fictionalized tale, but also has a lot of actual history in it. So if you're looking for something to watch this week, and with the Oscars coming up, you want to explore some past Oscar winners, I think you should really give 1984's Amadeus a try. I know it sounds daunting. It's going to be about classical music. It's going to be about Mozart. First of all, you're not going to really know it's about Mozart because it's called Amadeus. You're going to be a little bit confused about that. But trust me, put it on and watch it. You will be entertained, because if young Stacia was entertained in the 80s by this movie when it came out, that she became enamored by it. I was just a kid. I loved this movie when I was a kid. I think if you give it a try, you will love it also. So thank you for watching again. Thank you for having patience with me, especially through January. I only posted long videos a couple of times. I'm trying to get back in the grind to the weekly videos and to do my shorts more regularly again on who are the stars of the Hollywood Walk of Fame. Getting back into it. It's been a rough start this year. Last week I was going to do the movie Airport, the 1970 movie, and the day before it came out there was a plane crash in Washington, D.C. I didn't think it was appropriate to do at that point, so I skipped that. So that's 2 in the month of January that I skipped. January is also hard for me because I don't share a lot of my personal life here, but I do suffer from chronic pain, and I have been going through the chronic pain a lot this month. It has been hard. It's hard for me to sit and stand for long periods of time. That's why it's good to do this. I can turn off and on the camera and get stuff done, but it's been getting to me this month. So thank you for bearing with me. Thank you for always being there. We're growing the channel slowly. We got over 730 followers now. And if you're not subscribed and you like this type of content, if you love movies like I do, I invite you to subscribe. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers by the end of June. I'm on track to do that. So knock on wood, that will happen for me and happen for us. But I love when you comment on videos also. I try to respond to everybody's comments, and all types of comments are welcome. You can correct me on something. I do not mind. I appreciate that. I am just one person who loves movies and loves talking about movies. And I pick movies and I do research on them. And you know what? Sometimes you get stuff wrong, and that's okay. And it's okay for you to point out. Also, I love when you share your stories about the movies you love or the first time you saw the movie that I was talking about. And I also like when you haven't seen the movies and you tell me that, you know what, after watching this, I think I'm going to go watch this movie. And I would encourage you to come back and comment after you watch the movie and tell me if you liked it or not. And if you didn't, even though I'm saying it's one of my favorite movies, if you didn't, that's okay. I will not hold it against you. I will try not to hold it against you. But I like to have a nice, respectful conversation with people who love movies, whether we agree or not on the movies. I think that could happen. But I do love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. See you next time. Bye.